Should we talk about your favorite senator?
Let's talk about Joni Ernst. Why not? Why shouldn't we be talking about Joni Ernst? She came so Joni Ernst got hit with a tough town hall the other day, as many Republicans have. And in fact, at one point, Republicans just stopped doing town halls. So amazing that Joni Ernst actually was out there talking to the people. But before we get into the reaction to this, let's just roll this clip of Joni Ernst sort of being heckled by people in the audience. This is people in Iowa reacting to Joni Ernst talking about Medicaid cuts. So go ahead and take a look at this clip.
People are not, well, we all are going to die. So, for heaven's sakes.
Hello, everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely apologize for a statement that I made yesterday at my town hall. I was in the process of answering a question that had been asked by an audience member when a woman who was extremely distraught screamed out from the back corner of the auditorium, "People are going to die." And I made an incorrect assumption that everyone in the auditorium understood that, yes, we are all going to perish from this earth. So I apologize. And I'm really, really glad that I did not have to bring up the subject of the tooth fairy as well.
Hello, fellow flesh and blood mortals. It's just, if you're listening to this, what you missed is it was just her face, like chin up. And she actually, people pointed out, is walking in front of a cemetery. Like, to the point about Washington not being West Wing, but being Veep, this is the best illustration that I've seen in months, actually. There's always a good illustration every single week, but this is one of the best ones I've ever seen, Krystal. She was apologizing for saying, quote, "We're all going to die" at a town hall. It was in Butler County, Iowa on Friday. She makes an apology video, which, first of all, why are you making the apology video? Roll with it. Secondly, she does it in front of a cemetery.
Yeah.
And then she pivoted to evangelism, by the way. Towards the end of the video, you didn't see this, but I'm pretty sure she ended up saying, quote, "For those that would like to see eternal and everlasting life, I encourage you to embrace my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ." I'm telling you, as an evangelical Christian, this is the worst evangelism I've ever seen.
I mean, yes, we are all going to die. It kind of matters to me when, like I would rather, I think most people, including the millions who are set to lose health insurance coverage because of the Medicaid cuts in the big, beautiful bill, they would like to forestall that possibility, into the future. But the meme of Republicans is the idea that like, oh, their healthcare plan is don't get sick or or don't be poor. Like and so she just goes all in with basically like, yeah, I mean, I guess if you get sick, you're gonna die, but whatever, we're all gonna die anyway, and just find your salvation in God, it's fine.
I was venting about this. It's like, first of all, just from like a comms perspective, God forbid I put that hat on, like the idea of doing communications for a senator, but if you're even like thinking about this, all you have to do is say, yeah, this is the Trump era. All she has to do is say, yeah, I stood up to the liberal heckler in the audience who was defending waste and fraud in Medicaid.
Yeah.
Like, I'm defending Medicaid from the people who want to undermine Medicaid with waste and fraud and abuse. But why would you ever go out there and apologize for making like a glib, offhanded comment? And then, because she was clearly frustrated in the clip, she's like just reaching for straws. And Joni Ernst is not the most talented politician in the world, you will be shocked to learn, and ends up grasping at, "We're all going to die," films an apology video in front of a cemetery, then jokes about the tooth fairy, and pivots to evangelism. I mean, every item on the bingo card is checked off.
Well, and the funny thing, too, I'm interested in your take on this, is I am normally very impressed with Republican message discipline. Usually there's like okay, here's what we're saying about the Medicaid cuts. We're saying these aren't cuts. We're cutting out the waste, right? And some Republicans are on that talking point. Other Republicans are on the, like, actually, they're not cuts at all. I don't even know what you're talking about. There are no cuts. People are going to keep their insurance.
Right.
Some people are just like, they're in the, denying of reality. And then some people, apparently Joni Ernst is in the, well, we're all going to die anyway, so whatever. If 8 million people are slated to lose their health insurance coverage, which is the estimate under this bill. So in some ways, I think it displays the victory of Obamacare's expansion of Medicaid, that this has become a difficult subject for Republicans because it never was in the past. It also is indicative of the realignment that, as Bannon points out, you now have a lot of MAGAs on Medicaid, and so this is going to have an impact on your voting coalition. Will be among many of the 8 million who lose their health insurance. Like, Trump won narrowly, but won voters making under $50,000.
Yeah.
And that is the first time for a Republican, I don't know since when, in the modern era. So in any case, I think the schizophrenic nature of the Medicaid messaging within the Republican coalition is indicative of the fact, like, they realize this is a big political problem for them, but they also realize they have this ideological commitment to cutting Medicaid, and also the bill blows up the deficit, and we've got to do something, and we've got to appeal the fiscal hawks and the libertarians in the caucus and whatever. So they are kind of a mess on this issue, because it's not really. It is dramatically, if you poll cuts to Medicaid, dramatically politically unpopular.
Yep.
And so, they just don't really know what to do with that when they're out trying to talk to regular people.
So let's actually, he wasn't talking to regular people, but Russ Vought went on, he was doing Sunday show messaging to Krystal's point about GOP messaging discipline. And actually a lot of people on the right were passing around this clip as kind of a masterclass. But people on the left, this reminds me of the Bono clip we played in the Elon block, Krystal. People on the left are passing this around as examples of DOGE Republican cruelty, basically. So let's go ahead and roll Office of Management Budget Director Russ Vought, who is now basically seen as the policy mind that's driving DOGE. The administration is saying there's really no one person, now that Elon's kind of checked out, there's no one person that's like the leader of DOGE, but people generally see Russ as being the intellectual policy mind of DOGE, and he's at OMB, so he's kind of managing the purse strings. He's very supportive of the unitary executive theory. He's an extremely consequential person in this administration. So let's watch Russ Vought yesterday.
It's more about the NIH, and the NIH has been a bureaucracy that we believe has been weaponized against the American people. We saw that in COVID, the extent to which it doesn't even know or is willing to grapple with the extent to which it funded the Wuhan Institute through the EcoHealth Alliance, and the fact that they pay far more than even Bill Gates does for indirect costs at all of the bureaucracy. So this is something that is vitally important to be able to get a handle on, and we're still going to give $28 billion to the NIH.
So that's him with Dana Bash on CNN's State of the Union Sunday show. Krystal, interesting in the context of that point you made about generally being impressed with Republican messaging discipline. What did you make of Russ as the people like Joni Ernst are struggling with town halls? At one point, there was the directive from Trump on down, like, just don't do town halls. The bill's on the table right now. DOGE is kind of over. So how do you think the way Russ is talking is playing with the public?
Well, I think that the way Russ is talking is the reason why there was some general public receptivity to the project of DOGE. Because you can point at things at USAID that people are like, I don't know that we really need to do that. You can, obviously, NIH is a good example where you can point, and the abundance guys have critiques of like, oh, we should be organizing our federal research and our science funding this way. But now that you're on cleanup crew and people have seen, oh, you're not just targeting like the Wuhan lab, you are gutting scientific research across the board in a way that, is going to have generational impacts. No, those are not things that the public supported. So if there was, if this was before the fact and a justification of, okay, why we're going to come in and here's how we're going to do it and this is what it's going to look like, yeah, maybe you could have gotten some public support for that. But now, like, the bloom is off of the rose. People have already seen the chainsaw They're not going to unsee the chainsaw and think that you're doing some limited, targeted, effective cutting of just the pieces of the federal government that they may have some sort of issue with.
It's going to be tough. And I wonder, when the history of this first administration is written 10 plus years from now, not like the next couple of years, but 10 plus years from now, how people see the cause of like actually shrinking, like the conservative movement's almost central animating principle of cutting government, because cutting government, and this is again the conservative argument, that always brings more freedom. So like any cut to the government is more that abstract principle of freedom. Like you're feeding human freedom every time you cut the government. I just wonder how this period changes that going forward. And if the Republican Party looks more like the Bannon Republican Party or the Elon Republican Party 10 years from now based on all of this. Because right now what they're trying to do, people like Russ Vought are trying to marry the two.
Right.
And that is what feels like is slipping.
And it isn't just the Republicans who've been bought into Bill Clinton is the one who said the era of big government is over. Right. This is really starts with Carter, dabbles in it. Reagan is obviously the, real ideological, like full realization of that ideology in government. Bill Clinton consolidates it as a bipartisan project. And, this is the central question of the political moment we're living in right now is like, that consensus is dead. What comes next is contested. And that's where the abundance conversation fits in of what does the post-neoliberal left offering look like? That's where personally, I think a lot of abundance is neoliberal, but we'll talk about this tomorrow. But that's their conception is like, okay, you've got this, you've got the oligarchy framing, you've got the, the breaking up the antitrust and corporate power framing. And then there's this question of what is the role of government? The priorities and values that are embodied in the Trump Big Beautiful Budget are basically a gutting of the social safety net, a funding of the oligarchs and the wealthy, and a massive expansion of the police state, of the military-industrial complex with a huge Pentagon budget, and then a massive expansion of ICE and the private prison detention centers that go along with that. So that is as embodied by the Trump movement, that is really their conception of government power, is that it does little in terms of providing social services and does a lot in terms of, the sort of like surveillance and projecting power and fighting wars and those sorts of things. I think the Democrats and the left more broadly are really grappling right now with what their conception of the federal government is ultimately going to be. But I do think you're right to focus in on that is one of the key questions that is being grappled with right now, sort of across the board politically in terms of arriving at whatever the new political era and consensus is going to be.
I actually think it's been a great few months for democratic socialism, in all seriousness. The pitch that Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are making.
You see the receptivity with Zoran Mamdani, who had no business challenging Cuomo in the way that he's been able to, whether he's able to pull it off or not for New York City mayor.
I think it's a great point. Krystal, I was so proud of us because we almost wrapped the show on a timely basis. And then we didn't. We just started talking.
We had to wax poetic about the about neoliberalism and the waning era and
let girls be girls.
Era of big government. There you go. All right, guys. Premium subscribers are going to get that AMA live today. If you guys want to take part in that, avail yourself of our free trial offer, month free. Monthly subscriber offer is back. So, we'd love to see you guys sign up and become part of that so we can get your questions and interact with. That was one of the promisings of the premium subscribers is interact with the host. So you will get to do that more if you are a premium subscriber. The promo code for the free monthly trial is BPFree over at breakingpoints.com. Let's see. Today is Monday. Tomorrow, I'm in with Marshall.
Hell yeah.
That's going to be super fun. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Such a smart guy. Always enjoy his insights, so that'll be good.
He's in person too, right?
He's in person.
Amazing.
It's awesome. Yeah, and you and Ryan on Wednesday, me and Ryan on Thursday, Friday show. That's the plan for the week. So
gang's all here.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.